How do you remain hopeful?
Definitely have to remain hopeful. You have to wake up every day and know that something's going to change somewhere along the way. Somebody is going to listen and do something. Somebody is going to say, you know what, those people need help. I think we're going to help them. And I'm going to grab all the folks that I know and we're going to help them one day. Because my mom grew up here, my grandmother didn't grow up here. My grandmother actually married a man, a Dardar. She was a Dardar, and moved here when she was 16. So my mom grew up here. When my mom was growing up, there were trees, empty like it is now, where you see this is all dead. It was alive. It thrived. My brother still has his boat on the other side of that brown, not a camp, but a shed. And he takes this water every day to go trawling, to catch fresh shrimp, to deliver back to our people, to sell, to make a life. My brother oysters, but the reefs here have been eaten. People steal from the reefs and the leases that you own. So my brother's actually in Cameron Parish, almost in Texas, fishing oysters, because there's a state lease that stays open there for him to keep his life going in the wintertime, because trawling, catching shrimp is not open until April. So it depends on the season, what you catch, but you have to stay hopeful. You have to, because even though I don't live here anymore, I come home every week. I see my dad and my brother every week. I bring my son. I want him to know this is where mom came from, this is where grandmother came from. You know, it's part of you. Yesterday, I had a gentleman ask me, why not give up? Is it part of you? Of course. It's my roots. It's part of me. It means everything to me to come here. Whenever I come down here, I feel lost. This is not what I remember. It's never going to be what I remember. And I wish it could, because if we would have protected the barrier islands around here, if somebody would have heard our voice years ago, it wouldn't look like it does today. The saltwater wouldn't be eating our land inch by inch, foot by foot. It would be beautiful place where we had pecan trees, where we had persimmon trees, fig trees, blackberry bushes, a yard. I remember playing on beautiful green grass. Now it's brown, it's dead. Eating it.
So tell us, what we're looking at now, what did it look like when you were growing up, Leah?
It was not as far back, because the water, the way it's eaten, wasn't the same. We had a lot more trees pushed in. But when on the other side where you see the canal, whenever my mother was a young girl, it was only 4 feet wide. But we had oil companies and gas companies that came and dug it deeper and wider and opened it up to saltwater intrusion years ago. And now you're seeing the effects of what is happening 40 years later, 45 years, 50 years later.
What do you see for the future now? I mean, what do you do if this is the way it is right now? Where do you go from here without just losing hope?
You can't lose hope. You always have to have faith that one day things will change, because I have hope that one day things will change. Somebody's actually going to hear our voice, not just mine, but everyone that is speaking and saying, help us. You know, there is a way. And yesterday, like I said, the gentleman asked me, he said, Leah, you know, is it about your roots? Yes, it's about your roots. Even if where we're standing right now is covered in 5 feet of water, this is still where I'm from. I might not be able to get to it by land, but I promise you I have a boat. My brother has 2 boats, so I can ride here and still see what was. But hopefully it never comes to that. Hopefully it never comes to that.
What else? What else do we need to know?
Let's ask about when people talk about climate change, it's kind of theoretical to most people. Talk about climate change.
Climate change, like she said, the chief said about you're not supposed to be catching saltwater fish in fresh water. We no longer have the fresh water that we had at one point. The climate has changed because of the fact that we have sharks that come here now. We never had sharks before. Why are they coming? Sharks are not native to here, but my dad has caught 2 sharks in his trawl net. Yes, and you can tell that the climate has changed. It gets so hot in the summertime here. Whenever I was young, I think summer might have been maybe 80 degrees. Now it's into the hundreds. You know that the climate has changed drastically. We don't have a winter here. What is it? February? And it's maybe 50, 60 degrees. That's not winter time. It's not normal. Because my mom said she remembers whenever she was younger, there was actually a winter. There's no winter. We had, a snap maybe 3-4 weeks ago? A snap. A week of degrees, 30 degrees? Now it's just, we have mosquitoes. Everyone's getting bitten.
Right.
What does it mean to the people that you're part of, to the tribe? It's not just a matter of like moving. This is your entire existence. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Relocation is not an option. Our people were offered money for their land, which was not taken. We had very few. It's a personal decision not to leave and to stay. We have maybe a handful, maybe 2 or 3 families that wanted to leave, that wanted to sell their land. They were offered some less than 100,000, some more. You can take that money. You can relocate, but they don't want to. This is part of where you're from, where you live, how you live. Why move 30 minutes away when your boat is in your backyard? And that's what you use to survive every day. What is the point of that? Yes, you can start over. You can take that money and buy you a nice home. Where are you going to work? This is what you feel. It's not something that I can describe. It's just in me.
Could you tell us the name of where we are and describe this area physically and just give us a kind of a picture of this place? Where are we?
We are at the bottom of South Louisiana. The name of it is La Jean Charles, means the island of Jean Charles, which was named for a man named Jean Charles. It was a lot bigger years ago, and on the other side of the camps there's a town named Montague, and it was solid land. My mother, as a young girl, used to walk from here to Montague. How many miles it was, I'm not sure. I think it was more, about maybe 5 or so. You can't walk there. It's nothing but water. There's not even any marsh grass. It's just water. And our property is just diminishing slowly.
Tell us about the culture here when you were a kid, or just describe what was it like. What's the daily life like? What were the people like then? Give us a thumbnail, a sketch of that.
Yeah, we have, I think I want to say about 60 people living here now, and as a child we had probably over 300. My grandmother lived maybe 500 feet from us, maybe 600 feet, and we'd walk to her house every day and walk back and visit with all of my uncles, my aunts, my cousins. My grandmother, my grandfather, and I used to help my grandmother in her garden. My grandmother had the greenest thumb you would ever see. She had so many different plants in her garden, flowers, everything. What you see now is just a shell of what was 20 years ago. Because I was a little girl, 25 years ago, I remember helping my grandmother, and she had 4 oak trees in her backyard, and she had 2 in her front yard. You don't see an oak tree that is alive, that is thriving and sustaining in this community with the salt water, because they can't survive.
Talk about the tribe too. What tribe is it, and discuss some of the traditions of this tribe and its connection to areas like this. Why is it important to have this to have the land and the water together, but not in this imbalance?
United Houma Nation. I'm one of 17,000 tribal members. As a young girl, my mom enrolled me right away, just like I have a son, and I enrolled him right after he was born. It's something very important that you feel that needs to be done. I'm actually 4,731 in the tribal roll. Wow. My son is actually 19,041, I believe. So it's thousands off. The water is our way of life. We use that to make our living, to survive. You know, a living is not very rich, but our culture is very rich. When I say I went to my grandmother's house every day, I mean we ate, we visited. We didn't go to town. To town to me is Houma. You didn't go up the bayou and visit, really, because there was nobody up the bayou to visit. Even in Pointe-Noire, the next town over, we didn't have very many family members there. Everyone was here or across the bayou, which you have to go up the road to get across the bayou. We stayed close. It wasn't that we really traveled far. We stayed close to visit our family. And I have 2 aunts that lived at the beginning of the Pointe-Noire Road that we visited, but they would travel every day to come see us. So we would visit.
Being tight.
Yes, very, very close. Very tight.